Hello, and welcome to the Blackout Podcast, where I get to talk to amazing people who do amazing things. And today I have super awesome accountant, business person, mom. Do you model? Because you know what? But anyway, Stephanie, thanks for coming to the podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Right. I think you have really cool stories, but one of the first ones that grabbed me was the story about not like commercial space.
Oh, yeah.
So let's start with that one. Why did you feel the need to share it? And also, like, could you reiterate why people shouldn't get? At least in Halifax.
Yeah. So I work with mainly like small and micro-sized businesses. And before COVID, there absolutely was like a level of professionalism assumed or a level that your business was at, assumed based on having commercial space. Now, post-COVID, it's the best thing that came out of it is the way that the business has changed. And I just see so many small and micro businesses struggling to pay the rent. Like that's the number one priority for them. And that makes me so sad because, commercial rent is not $800 or $1,000. Sometimes it's $10,000. And you think about how many hours of work go into the first $10,000 or $5,000 of your income go into someone else. It's sad to me. So I had a commercial space that I had a deal for. Then the deal ended in December, and I looked around and I was just like, you know what? Like, if I lose a couple clients because they don't like the way I live, come to my house, they aren't for me anyway. I'm also like, lucky to be far enough along in my business where I can do something like that. But I see people with GoFundMe pages and, entrepreneurs and business owners crying on their stories, like literal tears over commercial rent and like, am I going to be in business in 2 weeks or countdown to me closing? And it breaks my heart. Like take that part out of the equation and you have a great life. So I feel really strongly about small and micro businesses. If you don't need a commercial space, don't do it. Do everything not to do it.
Wow. I'm like, and you kind of swore, but didn't.
Oh, I didn't know if you swear on this one. Like,
yes, you can swear on this
one.
In
Instagram, like, I don't hold back. I think the name of the thing was fuck commercial rent.
Yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah. That's how I speak in my everyday and in my business, but I certainly respect other people's businesses and space. So I feel it out before I let it out.
Okay. So let's rewind. How did you get into business and like Premier Tax?
Yeah. So I started my business in 2019. I got really lucky with a job right out of college. So I had 8 years as a senior accountant experience before my job then moved to the States. So I knew the whole time I had that job that I wasn't meant to be an employee, but I also recognized the opportunity that I had because the position was significantly beyond, the experience and education that I had at the time. So I stayed, wrote it out till the end, and then I got laid off. I got a severance. So I had some time to think about what I wanted to do, but I knew for sure an employment situation wasn't for me. And my husband pushes that along a little bit too. I'm a little bit more patient than he is, but he's like the guy that's like, don't let them do that to you. Don't let them do that to you. And you got that in your ear all the time. So he gasses me up all night. And then I'm like, yeah, you're right. You ain't doing that to me. So we start a bunch of shit together at home all night. But so then I got connected with the program, the SEED program, which is a self-employment benefits program. It's unlike anything, probably anywhere else in Canada, that gives entrepreneurs the opportunity to start a business, still collecting some EI while they do it. It's a small paycheck to keep the lights on while you figure your shit out. Luckily, I believe I'm probably one of the better success stories to come out of that program. I'm really connected to them and stay in touch and work with entrepreneurs from that program. But so now we're 4.5 years in. Doubled in revenue every year since we started. My team's up to 5 now. We're all working out of my house or some form of a hybrid model where they're home and at my space. I do lots of teaching gigs and consulting gigs. I just love working with small businesses and individuals. I have zero desire. If you're a millionaire, like stay where you're at. Like I'll be a millionaire. That'd be fine.
Right.
But I want to help. I want to help small guys. Like we're doing some workshop series right now, and people, I get the most messages I get are from people being like, "Why is this free? Why is this free? Why not? Why not someone help me?" Right? Like to even get the job that I got out of school was because of the person doing the hiring. I could just tell he wanted to give me a shot. Like it's because he liked me and maybe saw some of myself in him. It was something more than like what he saw on paper to give me that chance and then mentor me through.
Right.
I just feel like a duty to do that wherever I can. Because I think that, the employment thing, it ain't for me. And I think there's a lot of people that's the same case.
Okay. What did you want to be growing up?
You know what? I wanted to be happy.
What?
It's so odd, right? Like, I look back at my childhood and like my dad left really early and my mom, we each have our own truth of the situation. Her version hurts me, my version hurts her. So we agree kind of to not speak about it so that we can be as good as we can be now. She's a great grandma to my kids. But I never had that like normal household family like that. Just the dynamic of mom and dad get along and like everything's cool. Like there was drugs and jail and robberies and like just things like you probably wouldn't even expect like from myself because of kind of where I landed. And I don't talk about it a whole lot. But it wasn't like that like safe childhood. So I wanted to be happy. And then I just remember when I had kids, wanted to make sure that I could give that to them. Like that's the greatest gift. So I never knew like if I was going to be an accountant or an entrepreneur, or I just wanted to get out of where I was. That was as far as my dreams went when I was young.
Wow.
So I didn't even know there was like better.
Right. Wow. Yeah. While you were saying that, something just came to my mind. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and they were saying that, it's funny how grandparents and grandkids get along, but then the child and the mom, or the parents,
that's so true.
They're like, you see the grandparents and like, my answer was like, I guess maybe they'd like, okay, I had an opportunity and I messed it up, so this time I'm gonna do a lot better.
100%. I see that. Like my oldest son is 21, and then my two youngest children are both 7. And I look at the mom I am to them versus who I am to him. And the great thing about him is that he's like allowed me to adjust and as a mom to him. So he isn't like, you didn't do that for me, you didn't do that for me. He's just cool to enjoy what's getting done for everybody now. Because I had him at 18, my mom had me at 16. He and I didn't have the turmoil that her and I did, luckily. But I wholeheartedly feel that, and when I'm a grandma, like it's gonna be stupid. I better not be a grandmother for like 20 more years.
Wait. You don't want your son to have a child till he's 40.
I don't.
Wait, think about it though.
Live your best life. Save them kids for later.
40?
No. Yes. Yes. Maybe not 40,
like when he's gonna be 20, he's gonna be 60 when his kid is 20. Come on, man.
I love it. I got all I can handle for kids right now. Whether the littles are old enough to help him with his kids, then cool. But I won't be like
at what age do you think at what age to you will they be okay to take care of his kids?
15.
So
20?
that's
25.
Okay.
He's building his life right now.
Right.
So I just want to see him have something to offer. Like I did that where I was 18 and I didn't have anything to offer him other than me. Like we sometimes, like I talked about this yesterday with somebody, we would share like the $5 junior chicken meal at McDonald's back in the day. Like, and it was just him and I. Like, if I have $5, that's all I had. Like now it's, what do you guys want for dinner? T-bone steak? No problem. You want to go to this restaurant? Like, let's just live right here for a little bit first.
Okay, so are you happy?
I am.
Why?
I am. It's really crazy because like I have a lot of great things around me, but I just really love who I am and have like found myself and have worked on myself to get through what I've been through and what that's has done to me and taken from me.
Mm.
So I've really dedicated like my entrepreneurship journey didn't start out as like a self-healing journey, but it went there because you got to have thick skin to be in this game. Like it's not fun on certain days, and if you don't have that strong mental to be able to tolerate, and bounce back from what gets said to you or what gets done to you and the crazy shit that happens, and still be able to function in your family and be happy with yourself, you're not going to make it. So I had some shit happen really early on that like told me like, hey, you got to do a little work on yourself and not let things trigger you. And so, I did the work, and COVID gave me some space to do that too, because we got to slow down a little bit and modify how we work. And I love where I'm at. I love what I'm doing. I love my motivation and my motives for what I do. I love how I do what I do. I love my family. Like I really don't have anything that I'm like that's like lingering. That I'm like I gotta address that so I can be happy, because I've tackled those things, those demons, and I am happy.
I find that people get to that place through different routes, right? So there's a situation where someone might see someone having a negative experience, like that's not going to happen to me, and then there's a situation where the person might be like right flat out like, okay, I need to do something, or other situations like that. Like what was the catalyst for you to be like, okay, I need to do something for me?
I would say it would be when when I didn't have a perfect day in my business, how it would carry into my house after that. So our office is upstairs. Then I would come out of the office, we're done for the day, and be in just a shit mood for the rest of the night and pretend it wasn't bothering me. And Ming could look at me the wrong way. I'd be like, fuck you, like, let's go. And I was just waiting for the argument or the confrontation, like something to let me unleash so I could get out what I was feeling from the negative experience that I had had in the day. So I had to really build up my ability to handle conflict and not let the conflict make me second guess or have it have anything to do with my self-worth or self-esteem or confidence in any way. So now I get like these wild emails, and my team is growing in that way that it still hits them a little harder. But I can laugh and be like, imagine writing that to somebody. What is wrong with you? But anyways, here's what we'll say back. And that it ends there. Whereas like I had lost the amount of sleepless nights in the first year, embarrassing. And not because it was doing so much work. It was because like my business was working me. People were working me. Like that piece, when you hear when entrepreneurs say that, it isn't because we're working so much. It's literally because your mind can't stop what you're like building and learning and going through in those, even the first 2 years are a lot.
Wow. Okay, so how did like accounting? Why did you choose that? How did you get into that? Like,
I hate this part of the story.
Why?
Because my mom's an accountant.
Oh.
So not because I hate her. It's just funny that like she built her business and did her thing, and a lot of when I was younger, what I wanted to do was be different than her, and not because she's a bad person, but there's things in her life that I just didn't want for myself.
Do you guys look alike?
I think we're built alike, but I think people would say I look like my dad.
Okay.
Yeah. But we have a lot of similar characteristics for sure.
Right.
So she's an accountant, and I just was like, I'm gonna do anything but. So I went to St. Mary's, and I got out, and I was like, you know what?
What did you study again?
Accounting. Oh yeah, I still did the whole commerce thing, and then like an idiot rebel, if you will, I went to hair school, and like 2 days in, I was like, this is not for me.
What led to that realization?
I just needed to be in a space that like the hair thing, like and no disrespect to any hairdressers, but they have to be thick-skinned too, because you get this person that brings in this picture of Beyonce and thinks you're going to make her look like Beyonce at the end of that appointment, which the face doesn't come with the hairstyle. So it's like, it's crazy. It just, like, I'm like, this ain't going to go well. So that piece of it for me, no.
Right.
So I still did it, went through it, and then I did like a good stint in retail. And then I knew, like, always, like, I was still doing business. And when I was in retail, I was always in a management level of some sort. I think that's where I got my customer service component, because that's a huge thing that people say about my firm, that we do the customer service piece, where a lot of accounting firms, like, that's just not a priority. So that would be what I think we specialize in. And so then I went back to school, did another 2 years, got some more certifications and things, so I could just really tackle some specific accounting pieces, which tax is really what I love.
Wait, what?
I love tax. I know, nobody says that.
Okay, right? Yeah, because, like,
I
what?
said that.
Like, you get that paper and you're like, what the? It doesn't make sense.
Right. And that's the best part, because it makes so much sense to me. And then you come in, and I got to tell you, like, the range of what people come in and say, I like, you wouldn't even believe. But I've saved lives through tax. I've impacted marriages. I've just had a huge benefit and opportunity and privilege to impact people's lives deeply through tax, because of the fear and the shame and embarrassment and all the pieces that people put on themselves for not understanding something you're never taught in school. It's dope to me to be such a specialist in it, that, like, I can do that piece with my eyes closed while I make you feel better the whole way through. Because I don't need to be like, shut up, I'm looking at the number. I can actually hear you and do the numbers at the same time. And I get a lot of great feedback about how I made people feel when doing their taxes. But yeah, I get that reaction a lot about
that's so cool,
saying I love tax.
Okay, talking about marriage, you are white. You're married to a black man.
Me, I'm white? No, I'm kidding. Duh. Yeah.
Like, I mean, sure, we live in Canada and all that, but, like, was that ever an issue? Is that something that, do you ever deal with that? And, like, does that affect your kids anyway?
Yeah, I have, like, a couple of really, like, life-changing moments around being married to, someone of African descent, that I guarantee white people on the daily, like, just don't understand unless you've gone through it. I can give you two really specific examples. I remember early on when Ming and I were dating, we didn't date long, we got married quick, fast. And we were at Sobeys in Clayton Park. And I remember an old lady yelling from, like, 3 or 4 tills away, or cashiers away from us. She said, I can't believe she's going to let that monkey grope her. We were all over each other. We were just, like, in the honeymoon phase. And what I couldn't believe was that Sobeys didn't do a damn thing. I had to say something, and he held me back. Everything just went on, like, nothing stopped. It was no problem. It was kind of gross.
What would Sylvia have done, though? Like,
I think, like, the morally correct thing to do is to ask her to leave at very least and allow us to finish our transaction in peace. That's harassment. There's nothing needs to get said to us. We weren't inappropriate. Like, he literally just put his arms around me. So I absolutely believe in my business. I can promise you, if anybody feels disrespected or, any form of discrimination, I'll be the first to let them know. I have a big mouth, and my husband will jump right in too. I think, like, a safe space for everybody around us is hugely important, and I hate that isn't always the case for us when we step out of, our 4 walls. Another example would be that we sent our 2 youngest children to, I would say, a predominantly white school. I won't say it is a predominantly white school, because my husband's French. We really thought that there would be a better opportunity for education there, and my daughter suffered severe anxiety, like symptoms I won't even say, because she might be old. When she's older, she can tell that story herself. She might be embarrassed, but I think the anxiety piece is the least of what she was feeling for 2 years while they were there. And we were at a point where she's a good kid. She's such a good kid. She just does whatever she's told. And to watch her battle to go to school every morning, I didn't understand at all, like, what was going on or why. And eventually, I asked for a meeting with her teacher because our youngest son, everything was going fine for him, but not so much for her. So I asked for a meeting with her teacher, and I, asked a couple of key questions, and then eventually I was picking up a vibe. So I said, how many kids look like her in the class? And she gives me the generic, oh, we're very diverse. And I said, okay, cool. I'm gonna ask you this question again. How many black kids are in the class? And she just goes silent. And I right then and there knew, and the conversation was a lot more questions than that, but that's the question that I knew that her as a white teacher didn't know how to handle helping my black daughter adjust in a predominantly white environment. I don't even know that I know how to do that. I know that I can support, as a white person, I can be an ally and a liaison, and I'll fight and protect her in any way needed. So I said right there, it was a Zoom call because it was still COVID. I said, you keep all my daughter's shit, you will never see her again. I didn't even have a plan B, but I knew she was never going back to that school again. And so we moved them to a school closer to our house, and an incredibly diverse environment. Like, I'm telling you, like, the diversity just pours with the buzzer rings, and just Asians and black kids and Filipinos just everywhere. It's like there's a white kid peppered in every now and again. But I just love all the diversity and culture that's at that school. And like, the school is shit. Like, it's probably being held up by like 2 studs. Like, I have no idea how that school is standing, but my kids will go to that school till it falls. Like, it's a dope environment. It's where they're meant to be. And her anxiety, probably within 2 weeks, all of the physical symptoms gone. So you can't tell me that it isn't a huge racial component, or lack of diversity, or lack of training for the staff at the last school around diversity and the needs of different races and different cultures. Kids aren't all the same. So I think that's, if that's a part of their model, or how she was treating them, or if she just wasn't equipped for it, she should have said that. I don't know how to help this kid. Call her parents and tell them you don't know how to do it. Don't keep pulling this shit along, because like, where it ended up, like, she was lucky that the meeting wasn't face to face. That's where I was at. No, that's where I was at.
You're not allowed to do.
Oh, I don't care. I'm self-employed. But I still have a job on Monday. I can take a charge or two.
Okay. Wow. I mean, because there is this, perception that people have of Canada, all that, and then I'm like, okay, at least to hear that experience from someone that has it firsthand is different from like watching on TV or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, like, we know how to move and where to operate, and the places and things that we're going to run into, potential issues, we'll say. But the times where you think like, hey, I'm just gonna grab a couple groceries, we should be safe there, and you're not. That just, like, throws you all the way for a loop. Like, that blew my mind. And there are other examples. Those are just 2 like really overt, like extreme examples that I can think of. But I, even within my own family, I remember when they met Ming, because he's Muslim, asked him right to his face, do you know the people who flew the planes into the towers? Like, yeah, that's the worst question I've ever heard. Like, wow. So, then I am horrified, and you're just like, oh God, like, it's out there.
Right.
It happens.
Wow.
Does he know? Does he know the terrorists that flew the planes into the towers?
Yeah, like, see, was it at Thanksgiving or?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a family gathering, and I kind of like vetted like who's going to be there because you know the generational component. Like the older they are, the more likely.
I don't like Thanksgiving.
There's some views, right?
So
We do
bullshit.
Thanksgiving at home now.
Yeah.
Only.
Yeah, it's like no, cause you know, and it's nice to see all these people we haven't seen all year and stuff, but then something, you know, there's always something, and you know, it's like true. I remember like something. Yeah, okay, all right.
That's so true. That's so true, and it's always around us. Like it's always us. I can't lie. It has something to do with us.
It was never an issue for you.
Me,
like him being black, tall.
No, oh my God, no. I love tall boys, and I always kid like that. I have to stay with him forever now because there's no one taller,
right?
Or I have to move to get me a taller guy. No, I think he's the sexiest man alive. Like I hit the jackpot. He's a saint. Like he's the best father, the best partner. Like he has my back. Like he probably has my back more than I have my own back. Like he's a ride or, he calls me a ride or die, but like he's a ride or die. Like he grew up in that family dynamic, so his foundation is like so strong. I had to learn that. Like even when I met him, I didn't treat him like as great as I do now because I didn't even know how. I was like, I am gonna ruin this guy's life because I'm so damaged that I don't even know. Like he has no idea what he's gotten himself into, but he's just so patient with me, like to wait till I could, you know, go through and get over all the shit that had happened to me. But he's just rock solid from the jump. Like great mom, great dad. And I'm not saying I don't have great parents, but they're together, and dad played his role, mom played her role. He has siblings, and he traveled, and he's, you know, recruited. He has a free $500,000 education. Like he comes from, you know, money. I come from like Mr. Noodles, and my mom used to make pancakes on Sunday for the whole week and freeze them, and you put them in the toaster, and that's what you ate every day. Like wow. I just, and that was normal to me. Like I don't look back and be like, she made me eat pancakes. Like I don't think that I don't look at that negatively whatsoever. Like she did what she could with what she had. What he had was like he's seen the whole world before he was even 20. I left Canada, I think, for the first time when I was 18, and then not again until I was like 27. So, you know, he's like so well-rounded, and he's just really opened my eyes to the world. He's a gem.
So, you know, having the experience I had as a child, like, did you always want to have children?
I didn't.
Okay, what
Oddly.
changed?
So I had Jonah early, really young, and I had a lot of shame around like the mom. No, I wouldn't say shame. Like I just like felt bad that I wasn't like the mom every kid deserves. Like with stable and financially stable and happy and in a good place, and like, you know, all the things you need to mature with before you should have children. That's why I say you should have children old, because I think he should mature first.
Okay.
So I after him, I was like, I don't want to do this again, because, you know, luckily he turned out really great and he's a good guy. But I just questioned, like, would I be good for someone else? Like, I got him through. Could I do this again? And the situation, you know, wasn't ideal with his dad either. That was a lot of hard years. So I felt like do I have that in me again? And I really didn't want more kids. And then I met Ming, and I was like, how do I not? How do I not? Like, this is who, like, the household that we create for our children is a dream. Like, I love listening to my kids walk around and be like, you know what, when we were in Dominican, I really like the sand better there than in Mexico, and the people in this country versus that country, and they're not spoiled. They're not, they don't realize like the life that they have, but what they learn from being able to have the life that we provide them and two happy parents is like the greatest gift you could ever give anybody.
Yeah, I don't think people should have kids if they can't afford them, really.
Yeah. Can't afford them, or, you know, afford, and then
no,
you look
like,
at the economy.
as in afford in general, not just like being able to send them to school, but just everything.
Yeah, I agree. to an extent. Like I think that like living in Canada is expensive as fuck. So like who if we say got to be able to afford kids, nobody will have kids ever again the way things are going. But I think, are you willing to do for your child what needs to be done to make sure they come out okay? And whether that's financial or therapy for yourself or moving out of a bad relationship, whatever it is, if you're ready to do all those things, then being a parent's in the cards for you. But if you're going to stay with a jerk because you love him, but he's an asshole to your kid, or he's a terrible dad, or he doesn't contribute, like that's not cool. And then or you're teaching your daughter like, you know, what a horrible relationship looks like and what she's going to tolerate from a man next because of what like you're tolerating. Those things stand out significantly more to me than the fact that Jonah and I shared a junior chicken meal. I tolerated some shitty things for a long time that I'm glad my daughter will never see.
Right. Yeah, okay. So, you know, you've navigated life so far. You've built this life you have for yourself, your children, with your partner. What are some things? Okay, actually, this is the last one. What is it like in your 5 years? I guess before you're a grandmom in 20 years.
20 years, okay, you got the right number.
Before you're a grandmom in 20 years, what lies ahead in the path for Stephanie?
It's funny because I only started answering questions like these recently. I've really lived a life with a lot of disappointment, so I felt like if you put it out there, then people can't wait to like laugh at you for not achieving it, or you know, you look back and you're like, why would I say that, because I can never do that. But I don't live in that space anymore. I know that anything I want to do, I can do, and I really don't give a shit what anybody thinks. I care what Ming thinks. I'll say that, I'll give him that respect. But he, you know, we have our life together and our own individual identities. But I would definitely say that the millionaire card is coming.
Wow, it's great talking to you, Stephanie. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome.